Well, guys, this is it. Christmas is right around the corner, and I intend to resolve my 30 game New Year's resolution right here and now. So, without further ado, here it is game number 30. That's right, to close out my 30 game backlog for the year, I am going to be covering Alien Soldier, our first game that we will be covering from Treasure. The year is 2015. The planet Sierra is gripped by fear and is in the midst of a deep crisis. The evil terrorist group Scarlet are still commanding force. They have the power to prevent humans traveling to and from the outside universe. Scarlet's members consist of artificial beings created using supergenetic engineering by the Sierrans. Scarlet is an underground organization that has been secretly formed with the express intentions of destroying the human race. In addition to their high level of intelligence and awesome strength, Scarlet's members are equipped with parasitic abilities that allow them to live within human beings, animals, and machinery. Equipped with these abilities, they conquer the Sierrans and stand on the brink of obtaining supremacy over Sierra. Epsilon Eagle, the boss of the Scarlet Group, is the intended target of an assassination attempt being planned by Sierrans. A special combat group capable of using superpowers was secretly dispatched to carry out this mission. Scarlet unleashed a sudden attack on Epsilon with their superpowers. Epsilon, seriously damaged by the attack, was thrown into the time-space continuum, which had been activated by Scarlet's use of superpowers. With Epsilon seemingly gone forever, Exi-Tiger took control of Scarlet amidst the resulting confusion. With Exi-Tiger now in charge, the terrorist attacks against Sierrans became more frequent and brutal. With this increase in attacks towards Sierrans, Exi-Tiger soon became unpopular among Scarlet members. As a result, the demands for the reinstatement of Epsilon as the leader of the Scarlet Group became stronger. Having been isolated from the other Scarlet members, Exi-Tiger decided to assassinate Epsilon. In an attempt to activate the time-space continuum, Exi-Tiger ordered an attack on the Sierrans' research laboratory, where children with superpowers were being held hostage, having been kidnapped. Exi-Tiger sensed something was wrong. He could feel the presence of Epsilon in one of the boys. However, he was unsure because he couldn't pinpoint the evil from Epsilon, who had entered the boy's body and was now living as a parasite inside of him. In an attempt to get Epsilon out of the boy's body, Exi-Tiger took a young girl hostage and threatened to kill her unless Epsilon released the boy. The boy flew into a rage and morphed his body into Epsilon. Suddenly, where the boy had been standing now stood a Birdman with steel wings. Epsilon's mind was in conflict as a battle between its real nature, human justice, and the foreign force raged on. Exi-Tiger could sense an unknown power within Epsilon and fled immediately, having killed the girl first. Epsilon. Exi-Tiger, I will never let you get away. Epsilon is not the only creature of his kind. Somehow another Birdman with a similar body had been created. Although their bodies were identical, their minds were very different. Unknown to everybody, the mind of the mysterious new Birdman was filled with an evil ambition. He also flew off in search of Exi-Tiger. Yeah, this is a very convoluted story. Like, what the fuck's going on? So Epsilon was an evil, notorious terrorist, gets flung into the space-time continuum, and having taken over the body of a young boy is now the hero. Anyways, I'm gonna play on super easy because the only difference between super easy and super hard is that super easy gives you unlimited continues. That's it. So I need to select 4 weapons, and I want Buster Force, Ranger Force, Homing Force, and Sword Force. Flame Force and Lancer Force are pretty decent in niche circumstances. But in general, these are the 4 I want to use throughout the entire playthrough. So I'm just going to go ahead and practice for a bit, and while I'm practicing, I'm going to give you the rundowns for perfect playthrough conditions. Perfect playthrough conditions, we have to beat the entire game. That is it. There are only about 25, 26 levels to clear through, and it's basically a boss gauntlet. Apparently this game is supposed to have like 100 levels with 100 bosses for us to fight. But the game had to be scaled back because the Genesis was nearing the end of its lifespan at that point in time. This game never saw a release, never saw a physical North American release, which is the reason why I'm not covering this game for 12 Games of Christmas. But it did, however, it was released on Sega Channel, and the game has since been released as part of some Sega compilations, like in Sega Genesis Classics, which I did cover during Summer Sega. However, that run was way too long to be made into a perfect playthrough, so even if I wanted to, it wasn't a good idea. So I'm refilming this one. This episode still goes a little long, but not too bad. I need to upgrade my weapons, and I want to start with what I like to call the boss weapons. The weapons I will be using the most during boss fights. And that is the homing, gun. Now, my objective, I have to, whenever possible, you want to kill small fodder enemies and use a weird parry maneuver, which requires pressing B twice in rapid succession in order to turn these projectiles into little health packets, so I could regain full health. And then use my little teleporting technique to deal a ton of damage. That's gonna be my primary means of offense against bosses. Trust me, trying to battle but using just your guns to battle these bosses is a nightmare. It's possible. In fact, in a lot of cases, you're probably gonna have to use just your guns because using the teleporting to damage actually will cost you health, and you can only perform the maneuver, which requires pressing down and C. As an offensive maneuver in very niche situations. Ideally, you want to use it when the boss is up against the wall, or in case you need to escape a tricky situation. Or if you just need a gun go for a quick finish, like I did. But I'm definitely holding back a bit because I'm not quite sure how much damage I'd be able to deal here. Alright, our main boss weapon is nearly at full. And of course we want to pick up accumulate as much health as possible. as much ammo or force as possible. Max, and your force maxes out 200, your health maxes out at 800. Though, based on, well, at least in a single playthrough. Based on the HUD, it seems like you could theoretically hit 1,000 points of health in a single playthrough, but I don't know how that's doable. So to achieve a perfect playthrough, I gotta beat the game while maxed out all my ammo and my health, which is 800 and 2,000 respectively. So right now this is not a weapon we'll be using very often, the Sword Force. But still see some niche uses against bosses because bosses are covered in a ton of armor. So now our homing force is completely filled up, so. Yeah, I'm just trying to be careful and not take any damage. I'm playing this game really conservatively, which probably isn't a good thing considering how long this game is. Some speedrunners can blast through this game super quickly, but I'm not that good. And yeah, Treasure is a game I'm hoping that we will be able to see a lot more of in the near future. However, they've only developed 6 games for the Genesis, with only 4 of them seeing a US release. Luckily, the other 4 games are games I can still cover for perfect playthroughs. And all 6 other games are, from what I gather, are received phenomenally well from the Sega community. Alien Soldier saw physical releases in Japan and in PAL territories, but not in North America for some reason. And the other game that never saw a release outside Japan was a Yu Yu Hakusho fighting game, which I heard is really, really good. And is even more niche than Alien Soldier, especially since it's a licensed game. I never saw a release outside Japan. So I probably really screwed the pooch with the teleport thing here. I think for the rest of this run, we're gonna be using the gold suit instead of the white suit. So the white suit allows us to fire our guns in all directions, but can only fire from a standstill. But it allows us to switch. Well, okay. Let me say. The white suit allows us to change directions while where we're firing while shooting, but the cost of movement. Whereas the gold suit allows us to move around while we're fighting. However, we generally only have 4 direction shots while at a standstill. I have to be careful because the only way I replenish force in each of your ammo types is by swapping them out for another weapon. Or by picking up a force packet to upgrade your max ammo. Now we have to now upgrade our sword ammo, which is fine. But alright, so this boss will actually help replenish our health power-ups on occasion, so So I really took advantage of those health packets to quickly get through this boss. But yeah, the plan was for this game to have 100 levels, where you're just battling 100 different bosses. So the super convoluted plot likely is the result of the game's developers having to cut back significantly on the story content. It probably would have made a lot more sense had we been able to play through the prologue option instead of beginning just a few levels ago. But yeah, the plot makes absolutely no fucking sense. At least not without a wiki or something. I don't know what the plot was for the Japanese release of the game, but a lot of these super convoluted Genesis storylines are just come across as incredibly nonsensical. Alright, we took on this guy. And, alright, we are heading to the next batch of levels, which is on top of this train. Hey, who's that? I think that's supposed to be Ixie Tiger. So, I need to start upgrading my other weapons. Again, our Sword Force isn't a weapon that we'll be using a whole lot, other than in relief of our homing force. Sadly, I probably could have held on to that in hindsight. So now the fog's thickening, so this is how the boss complicates things for us. But now we're going back for the standard gun. And then we have to battle these Galaga-like things. And I have no idea what that black bar is on the left-hand side is supposed to be. So yeah, I literally just use my I'll teleport a blast through quite the pickle I was in back then. Plus, I was able to fully regenerate health too. Yeah, that ship is not a boss. It's like the flying battery in Angel Island Act 2. For anyone who's remembered Perfect Playthrough number 23, or just remember playing Sonic 3 as a kid. So yeah, we are battling Ixie Tiger, who's transformed into, well, a giant tiger. So why did Treasure only make 6 games? Well, because the company didn't officially come into existence until 1993, when they saw their first 2 Genesis releases in Gunstar Heroes and McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. In fact, McDonald's Treasureland Adventure was literally a game they were hired to make in order to receive funding for Gunstar Heroes. Yeah, ironically enough, Sega loved Gunstar Heroes so much they decided to release that game. Not only did the game end up finishing development first, but Sega decided to release that game first, ahead of the holiday 93 season. And honestly, I think Treasure's one of the only third parties with multiple releases for the Genesis to have never made a truly terrible game. I've played 4 of their games, though I've heard that the other 2 games I haven't played are games that are highly rated anyways. And of the 4 I've played, the one I like the least is probably Light Crusader. Again, which is kind of funny because it's an RPG. But it's a dungeon crawling RPG, so there. So right now the bosses are getting quite a bit trickier to deal with. Strangely enough, we will not be using a teleport at all because these slope platforms makes this very, very, very dangerous. So instead I'm basically just swapping between the sword gun, the homing gun, and the single shotgun right there. Interestingly enough, I could have probably used the spread shot as well. Anyways, this boss is almost dead. And he's dead. I gotta fully upgrade our sword ammo because we're really low on that. And yep, we got our, another upgrade for our spread shots. And I have to battle this guy who likes to blow us off the platforms. Because he's literally a giant fan. These ain't blades. And right now it's kind of dangerous again because these are so many, because there's bottomless pits everywhere. You don't die right away if you fall in one, but you will take a ton of health and you will need a button mash to get back up. So until I get to a nice health, or I feel, yep, right there. Around 300 is what you want to use before you use that technique to clean up the rest of a boss's health. 200, 300 points of health remaining. And preferably you want to do it when it's nice and safe to do it. And we take out those pervy little aliens, and I have no idea what the deal is with that blue thing.
Let's go.
And now, we technically have the first phase of this boss fight, which is just an enemy gauntlet. We actually have to kill 15 of these crab enemies before the boss will finally show up. Kind of like the hunt for the Toneberry King in Final Fantasy VIII. But an action game. But an action set piece. And it's actually mandatory in Alien Soldier. And basically the trick with this boss is to just veer from one side to the other. We want to wait till he starts sowing more crustaceans after us so we can regenerate our lost health so we can perform the teleport technique, which does 0 damage when you have health missing. But max health, it can deal a shit ton of damage. And that was, the way I saw it, that was completely free. Now, ideally you want to do this when you can deal the most amount of damage without taking any extra damage for yourself. But you just have to choose the safest time to do these techniques. And now here's the next stage 13, and all we have to deal with are these super regenerative freaks. Right now, all I can really do is teleport from one side of the screen to the next. And now we've got another boss fight. Ready? Fight. Just like a fight game. Fighting game. Yes, I've actually made a decision. A couple of the games that I will be covering on 12 Games of Christmas will in fact be games from my backlog, including games I covered on during Summer of Sega. Something of a palate cleanser for the rest of the 12 Games of Christmas Marathon, which will largely consist of games that I do not own at all. So I'm literally trying to avoid this Mothra here because it literally sticks out tendrils to try to pick me up and flung me across the screen. But at least he started dropping little caterpillars down, which act as health replenishments. Neat. Was able to take him out real quickly. Now, the next couple stages are kind of annoying because we need to fire our weapons in order to see what's going on. Because I literally can't see shit. And yes, I have to take the damage because it will... And because he's just stuck at the other end, I was able to deal a lot more damage. How the thing works is, the longer you're phasing through an enemy, the more damage you're dealing. So if they're at the very edge of a screen that you can't go back, that you can't make any screen progress in, you're literally just hitting them up against the wall for going from 200 points of damage to like 1,000 or 2,000 points. Again, Tassers and speedrunners can beat this game in like under 30 minutes easily. But I'm not a speedrunner, so obviously I'm not gonna be able to beat these bosses that quickly. I have to be careful now because I would ideally like to save my ultimate technique for the next boss. Now stage 16, where we are underneath this moss thing that shits out a couple tapeworms from his top of his head. That's interesting. But that was a pitifully easy boss. Makes sense when you can shoot him for full damage with up close to the spread gun. No, it's a giant fucking spider that's the main boss. And right now the spread gun is really ideal in helping us take care of these swarms. Followed up by our homing force. Or I guess flame force. Now there is a drawback. The little spiders that start feasting at the moth remains are causing the main platform to sink lower and lower towards the bottom of the screen. So we have to take them all out before the platform completely disappears. And that was what that technique I just performed was for. Taking care of all the fodder while keeping the screen low enough for this spider to come after us. And just like that, we've taken on another boss. The craziest thing is, this is probably a game that Treasure probably could have developed for the Saturn if they really wanted to. But they chose to release it for the Genesis because the game director loved the Genesis so much he needed to make this game for it. But imagine if this was a Saturn release instead of a Genesis release. I think this game probably would have had 100 levels and could have been a potential killer app for the Saturn. At least in Japan. In North America, they don't. The North American executive branch didn't like 2D games on 32-bit hardware, so who knows? Don't worry though, Treasure still made Radiant Silver Gun and Ikaruga for the Saturn and Dreamcast respectively. They even made an Astro Boy game. So this is probably the second or third hardest boss in the entire game. And is actually the only boss I died to during Summer Sega because I came in unprepared with the wrong weapons. Turns out the homing force doesn't really work, doesn't deal a ton of damage against a boss that literally has his 2 feet act as shields to block off all enemy fire. So we took on the evil bird clone of ours, which seems to be Epsilon's evil side. And then all out of nowhere, the planet Sierra explodes. Like, why? There's nothing about the story up to that point that literally sets us up at all. So he defeated our evil clone, and the planet Sierra blows up, and this guy shows up. I have no idea who that is. And I think we then turned up back on Earth. I have no idea where specifically. This could be Colorado. Could be Alaska. And it could just as likely be it could be the Andes. And it could also potentially be the mountain range that Cliffhanger's set in. I'm waiting for the main, because this is the final upgrade that I will need for the rest of the run. All of my guns are at are completely maxed out at this point. So I have to wait till this guy literally shows up. Alright, now I can probably do the teleport thing to the next platform. And we took a lot of damage from that, like a lot more than usual. By the way, because this is technically the PAL version, this game runs at 50 frames per second as opposed to 60. But I'm just saying is all. But yeah, I think Treasure released 2 games per year. 93 was Gunstar Heroes and McDonald's Treasureland Adventures. 94 was Dynamite Headdy and Yu Yu Hakusho. And 95 was Alien Soldier and Light Crusader. With 2 run guns, 2 platformers, including 2 mascot platformers. A fighting game and an RPG, so pretty diverse for a studio that only had 6 titles for the Genesis under their belt. Too bad this boss doesn't give out health replenishments. Well, that's alright. And now all that's left is this creepy ass face looking at us. But yeah, it's the girl that was killed during the game's prologue, and now she's back for some reason. And this is probably the most difficult boss in the entire game, particularly because even the game gives you just 10 minutes to beat her, which sounds like a lot, but there are like 5 bosses we have to fight. No, not like 5 bosses. There are exactly 5 bosses that we have to fight back to back in this one level. And this is one that basically demands that you use all the techniques necessary to replenish your health, and your weapons ammo, among other things. You cannot show any remote hints of weakness here. But honestly, I think if not for the fact that Alien Soldier never saw release in North America, had it saw physical release in North America, I definitely would have covered this game for 12 Games of Christmas. Maybe not the first year, but eventually. Now, when will I cover Dynamite Headdy on 12 Games of Christmas? Honestly, I have no idea. The problem with Dynamite Headdy is it's long. Like, the 100% task for Dynamite Headdy is an hour and a half long. And it's probably the second longest game made by Treasure, apart from the RPG Light Crusader. So we need to replenish our health before we can fish this guy off. We're still not at max health yet. Before we finish this guy, before we finish this boss off, I need to replenish my health a bit. Alright, and assume that was the most ideal circumstances I could afford with the setup. And hopefully I didn't burn my load too quickly there. So basically we want to attack him while he's in mid-attacking animation. Otherwise he's just gonna shield himself with his arms. Why am I saying masculine pronouns for a chick? I don't know. Oh, that's kind of a bummer. Man, this guy's annoying. Yeah. This third phase is probably the most annoying one of all. So the Dark Epsilon fight that we had a couple stages ago is the main reason why I have the sword one. And now I'm gonna swap over to the Flame Shield and... Alright, that's gonna be key. That Fireball is gonna be key to a quick victory over this guy. Look at that. Now I have a bit of a fighting chance against this guy. Yeah, I probably should have saved that. Actually, I don't think it would matter because the final phase of this fight, the fifth and final battle, is underwater. And flame-based weapons and attacks don't do anything underwater. So I have to use some of my other ammos other than the homing weapon, even though the homing weapon would directly be the best weapon possible for this boss. But the sword force is pretty good too. Shit ton of power concentrated in teeny tiny hitboxes that can fit through that is designed specifically to fit through narrow gaps. Also, this gun in particular is not treated as a fire type attack for some reason. So we're running on that, so we switch focus to the sword force. And just like that, we plowed through this boss fight. And now for the final batch of levels in the entire game, the space levels. So stage 21 in this that's entirely in this asteroid field. Fortunately, there are no enemies for us to fight, but also means, well, actually, that's not true. We can still replenish our health here. What you have to do is keep an eye out on the kind of asteroids that are not in the foreground or background, but are right there in the same plane of field as us. They move a little differently from all the others, so keep an eye out for any unsettling movements from these asteroids. You'll know which ones will hurt you and which ones are not. You double tap the B button in order to give them a little bounce that will help max out your health. Or at least restore your health to full. And we now have to fight this giant testicle. And no, that wasn't totally wasted because we needed to get away from his attack. And he shoots out little bullets for us. And we already made it back to full max health just as quickly. Twice! So speed victory here. I gotta use the spread shot now. And yes, this game does take some heavy emphasis from Contra. It makes sense because the team that worked on this game is largely of former Konami employees. Most notably, Konami employees who formerly worked on the Contra series. But they had their own little vision on how they want to do things. Their own philosophizing when it comes to gameplay and overall artistic designs and ambitions. They left Konami, formed Treasure. McDonald's Treasureland Adventure was made by Treasure, helped them get by financially so they could make their debut masterpiece, Gunstar Heroes. And this is where I would say seizure warning. Alright. Yeah, we are finally taking out this fucking snake. Too bad I never took the time to fully replenish my health. But I knew I'll have a chance to do so. Yep, good. Take the time because those health packs are a blink and you miss a type of deal. You may only get one, maybe two chances at this for the rest of this boss encounter. And Odin here. So I was able to replenish our health just in the nick of time. But I digress. Now, why am I not using the little bounce thing in order to heal up? Because it's a rapid-fire machine gun. Then I tried it and it didn't work. Now for the penultimate stage and the penultimate boss battle. Something worth noting about this elevator is we can actually change its altitude all on our own by pressing and holding up or down. So there is definitely an added layer of difficulty here when you take all that into consideration. This is when I have to absolutely nail this fight. And yeah, I have to basically the gimmick is you have to shoot up or down with your weapons of choice in order to hit this boss. But pressing down causes the platform to go down, pressing up causes the platform to go up. So if you want to hit him with the spread shot, you gotta have your elevate from down below. You have to hit him from a lower altitude. Alright, anyways, we're near the end of this boss fight. Just a little bit more and we're done. And we're through. Just like that, this boss is finished. We'll get the names of all the bosses that we've beaten along the way. But now our health is max, all 4 ammos are at max, at 2,000 apiece. Perfect playthrough time. We gotta beat this guy. The final boss. And it kind of looks like a lion, Leomon from Digimon. Like a mix of a wolf, a tiger, and a lion. So that's supposed to be XE Tiger 2.0. So yeah, we can turn his ammo to. You actually have to use the little bouncing switch we use to turn ammo into health packets, in order to bounce the giant fireballs into his face for max damage. Because he remains in the middle of the screen this whole time, it deals more damage than the max health teleporter. And that quickly fishes him off. And with that, we've achieved yet another perfect playthrough. And I've cleared out my 30 games that I put in my backlog as part of my New Year's resolution heading into 2024. I've met my criteria, and now all we've got left to look forward to now are 12 games of Christmas and my 100th perfect playthrough. And there's literally no epilogue, it's just a credits roll. Which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, this was definitely a fun game. Hard as balls, but fun. And I did put in my 8 in A tier previously, and I think I'm gonna stick with that rating. At least for now. Absolutely rock solid Sega Genesis, Mega Drive game, because this never saw a proper physical Genesis release. But a rock solid Mega Drive game regardless. I don't really know what else to say there. It is pretty long. I'll give the game that much, but other than that, I think it's pretty rock solid. But even though the planet Sierra got nuked from orbit somehow, some way, guess that had to do with the ultimate weapon thing that XC Tiger was a part of. But at least the Earth is saved. And the human race will continue to live on. I do think that if I have any issues with it, it is that not only is it pretty long, I do wish the story made a bit more sense and was a bit more coherent. It literally makes Tetsuya Nomura design plot look like Sesame Street. A game made by Tetsuya Nomura look like Sesame Street. On how convoluted it is. Stage 2, Android. And here are the bosses. Stage 16 is Backstringer. Guess I could call it Buttstringer. And this is Stage 18 boss, Destroyer Mark II. What about the Mark 1? And Stage 13, Bugmax, aka Mothra. This giant frog here from Stage 6 is Joker. Okay. What's the name of this thing? Stage 17 is Epsilon 1. Okay. So I was right, that was Epsilon 1. Stage 3 is Shell Shogun. This Eldritch Abomination is from Stage 4, Sniper Honey Viper. That's so weird. This giant crab thing is from Stage 5 is Madame Barber. Okay, is that supposed to be a pun or something? Stage 21 is Destroyer Prototype. Boss from Stage 8 is Flying Neo. These are some weird ass names. From Stage 15, Sunset Sting. Kinda call it Sunflower or Stinging Sunflower or something. From Stage 23 is Wolf Gunblood Garopa. And this is definitely Exy Tiger from Stage 9. Exy Tiger. And this is from this boss from Stage 20. The 5 part is Valkyrie Force. Medusa Force. Sylphid Force. You mean like the Sega CD game? Sylphid, Artemis Force. Probably the easiest of the group. And finally, Serene Force. And here's the final boss of the game from Stage 25 is Z-Leo. Who? Guess it's the true final boss, but I digress. So I hope you all enjoyed my perfect playthrough of Alien Soldier. And my 87th perfect playthrough in the 30th game from my backlog completely covered and cleared. And what's my final score? Well, I could do so much better here. That's bad. Anyways, that's my 30 games for 2024. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. With all out of the way, and oh yeah, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you are looking forward to 12 Games of Christmas 2024. I'll see you all guys then. This is Mike Gordon, sign out.